So much for joining us for this week's Dragonblade Authors Unplugged. I'm so excited to talk to you this week. We've got we actually had four authors with us. We're down to three. We lost Mary Lancaster. She's going to release this week. And we've got Sandra Sookoo and Bianca Blythe, and Emily Murdoch had a release a couple weeks ago and wasn't able to join us. So now we have her this week too. So we've got lots of stuff going on this week. Ladies, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate you taking the time.
Oh, my pleasure.
No problem.
Bianca, your book is book 3 in the Determined Debutante series, is that right? And it's The Duke's Trap.
Yeah, I can tell you a bit about it if you would like.
Yes, please.
So it's the third book in my Determined Debutante series, which is about 3 sisters, and they are all debuting at the same time, just saving a bit of money, all going at it together. They all have, the beautiful red hair and everything. They're all super excited, and unfortunately, at their very first ball, there is a very sort of naughty picture of their mother, who unfortunately also has red hair and looks just like them. So everyone knows that they're sort of immediately tainted with scandal, even though they've, been trying so hard to just have a wonderful season. And so this is the third book. And it's about Leonora Holt, who is the oldest sister and who feels the most responsible about it. She has the most, she remembers her, her mother and father the most. Their father died younger, and then the mother ran off with someone all very scandalous, naturally. And she really blames this Duke, who was the next door neighbor and her one-time best friend, for starting all of this. So it's sort of, it's, childhood sweethearts, but also, very much enemies to lovers. And they've spent the other 2 books in the series, she's been complaining about this horrible Duke and why is he buying these paintings of her mother and then trying to display them, like he's so difficult. But obviously there's the emotions sometimes are strong. Sometimes hatred can be close to love, and there are these strong emotions, and some romantic things happen between them. So that's the story.
Oh, great. Oh, it sounds like so much fun. And I was telling the ladies before you joined that I had started the Secret Life of a Debutante, and the scene with the picture setup was so much fun, and when she goes to visit her mother to tell her what happened, it was so much fun. It's a lovely setup, and this is part of the Dragonblade Flame line, so this one's a little bit steamier than some of our other ones. So you can kind of get away with the naughty pictures in that. So Emily, your book is The Misplaced Husband, and it's the first book in the Petra saga, which is a brand new series for you and a little bit different than your other series. Is that right?
Yeah, I've talked a little bit before about my absolute adoration of family sagas. I love looking at multi-generational romances, of seeing, parents fall in love and have children, and they fall in love and have children, and it's something that I've always wanted to do, but I don't think I had the confidence to get away with it. It's complicated. The charts I have for birth orders to make sure that none of the cousins are born in the exact same day. But this family kind of walked into my head, and that's never happened before. Usually I kind of go looking for characters and I find them. But Opal and Jasper, who are the kind of first primary couple who feature in The Misplaced Husband, kind of turned up in my brain, and I realized that I couldn't really put it off any longer. The story, the very first chapter, is Opal de Petrus hosting an afternoon tea party in an attempt to get back into the good graces of society. She's kind of disappeared for the last 7 years because her husband was what she calls misplaced. He's been gone 7 years. Absolutely no sign of him, no idea where he's gone. You're really heartbroken that he's probably gone off with another woman. And on that day, she's just signed the paperwork that morning with her solicitor to have him declared dead. She is officially a widow, and she is very ready to take a lover. And just as she chooses between the three gentlemen that she had invited, Jasper walks back.
So this is a tea audition.
This is literally a tea audition. And all of a sudden, she's got to reconcile this idea of, okay, my husband's back. He's not actually legally my husband anymore. He's not actually legally alive anymore. And he is absolutely astonished that she would consider taking a lover when he was out there this whole time. So it's very...
What did he think was going to happen? That's a long time.
Missing letters, threatening notes, second chance romance, silver fox, family saga, mysteries. There's a lot going on.
The Bachelor.
And, you know, one of the things that I think has taken my readers a little bit by surprise is that there are a lot of mysteries and secrets in this family, and not all of them are revealed in book one. Otherwise, what is the point of reading the rest of the series? So there's a happily ever after, of course, and there are some secrets that are revealed, but the rest of the mystery is solved throughout the series. And that's quite exciting, quite daunting for me. But, you know, you then get to see their children, who you do meet in the first book, start to enjoy / suffer through the fallout of having two rather unusual parents.
Oh, wow, that sounds like so much fun. And the saga part sounds like a lot of fun too.
It's going to be really interesting. And I think one of the things that I loved about this series is that it's a matriarchal family. They are reviled and obsessed over by most of society because Opal is the matriarch. Their heir is their daughter. And when their daughters marry, their husbands take their name. And this is something that the whole family is having to battle against, because obviously it's very unusual now, let alone in the 1790s when book one is based. But it does mean that when we go to book two, which is also on, I think it's on pre-order right now, the eldest daughter, the impoverished dowry, their eldest daughter, Coral, she's hunting for a rich husband and she does not care who knows it.
So I love that the main character's name is Opal, and the covers for these are gorgeous, and it looks like she's wearing an opal necklace. And then you said the heroine in the next book is Coral, and that the cover of the impoverished dowry is all these really gorgeous, rich coral colors. Is it stones all the way through?
It's stones. So De Petras is around stones. That's the name of the family. And again, I just had this family walk into my head. So you've got Jasper and Opal, the husband and wife, and then their children, Coral, Micah, and Emerald. And it was just so obvious to me that, you know, there's a lot of symbology and connections within precious stones, but also there's a lot of really beautiful visuals that you could do. I'm not typically a visual person. I'm very much a words person. But one of the things I love about the covers that Dar Albert made for this series is that she was able to get them to me before I started writing. So I would had the cover and then my notes and my writing up at the same time. And that enabled me to be so inspired by these gorgeous covers.
Really are gorgeous covers.
It means I'm able to kind of take the jewelry and make them features in the story. And that was really fun and something I've not really played with before.
Oh, wonderful. Oh, that's so cool. Awesome. So, Sandra, you also have a family saga. We're at the end of the Storm Brothers series. Is that right? And this is The Fury of the Storm, book 6?
Right. That's correct. The Fury of the Storm is Carolyn's story. If you've read the series, you know that the Storm Brothers plus their cousins all have some sort of issue with their mental health or whatever. That's something that they're all struggling with. Carolyn's problem just happens to be dyslexia before it was known as dyslexia. And because nobody knew what was going on with her, they just put her in an asylum when she was a child. So as the series goes on and everybody's, character arc evolves, she's taken back within the family fold, and she's a woman. She wants love, she wants acceptance, she wants what everybody else has, but it's really hard for her because she's dyslexic. So that's what the book explores. She ends up She ends up getting married. It's more or less an arranged marriage, kind of arranged / forced marriage, because the head of the family is kind of a matchmaker, a closet matchmaker, because he thinks because he's the first one to be married that everybody else should be married too. So, in order for the hero to take her away and, get her out of London and all the stressors in London, he has to be married to her. So that's kind of how that came out. So while they're at the estate in Derbyshire, they get to know each other and romance happens. And it's just different because different.
So this is a marry first, fall in love after one.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, she met
love
him
those.
at a Christmas get together, prior to, and she couldn't get him out of her mind. And she likes to paint, so she always paints him for some reason until it becomes a little bit embarrassing because she's got all these paintings, hanging up around her room. And so that's how that came about.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, I love the marry first, fall in love after ones. That's a particularly favorite trope. Awesome. So
Yeah.
We lost Mary at the beginning of the chat. We had her with us for just a few minutes, but she also had a book that came out this week. That is the first book in the Gentlemen of Pleasure series. It is a lot of words. It is The Devil and the Viscount. The name of the title, and it also has a gorgeous cover, but instead of the beautiful woman, it has a lovely man removing his shirt, along the shirtless Thatcher line. except they're not Thatchers, but that's also part of the Dragonblade Flame line, and it is a continuation of Mary's Pleasure Garden series. So these are secondary characters that we've met through the Pleasure Garden series that are showing up in the Gentlemen of Pleasure. So I'm excited. I've got that one on my Kindle for this weekend too. So I'm excited for all of these. We have so many good releases this week. But so Emily, I was struck by something when you were talking about trying to organize things and about having the characters walk into your head completely formed. And I know, Sandra, you've been dealing with characters that have challenges as they go along, and I'm wondering, as a writer, what are the stories that challenge you the most to write? What are the things that you find yourself being pushed by in the writing that
Can I go first?
You?
Is that okay?
Yes, you can go first.
So I'm challenged by Sandra in a very, very good way. So I'm going to unpack that for everyone. So I, years ago, wrote a series of 5 siblings, and one of them was blind. And I found writing her story a real challenge. Someone who's visually impaired, who isn't going to fall in love at first sight, quite obviously.
Been there, done that with that.
But actually, I found it one of the most enriching things that I'd ever done, because it really challenged me and it really pushed me. And then I kind of wrote out the series, and seeing some of Sandra's books and seeing how meaningful they are, not just to people who have different abilities and disabilities, but for those who love people who have disabilities and different abilities, and seeing them in literature that just isn't there right now. I was really personally challenged, not directly by Sandra, but indirectly by seeing the love of people from her books. And so in my last series, I included an agoraphobic character, someone who's absolutely unable to go outside. And it really enriched, I think, I am biased, I think it really enriched the story, because actually it's not as simple as boy meets girl, girl meets girl, boy meets boy, whatever. It's actually like people have genuine challenges and genuine opportunities and richness in their souls that I want to be seeing on the page. So in this series, the DePetra series, one of my characters, and I'm not going to say who because you all need to go and read the book, has a limb difference. And one of the things that I was really passionate about when I was working with Dar, who is one of our cover designers, I said, she's got to be on the cover. For her story, she's got to be on the cover with a very visible limb difference. Very tasteful, not, making it anything, gaudy or, fetishization the person who's different, but actually demonstrating that, this is someone who looks different and is equally worthy of love and equally worthy of a story and equally worthy to be in our books. And I've worked with a very good friend of mine, Max, hey Max, who has a limb difference and has been working as my sensitivity reader to make sure that I'm really reflecting,
Wonderful.
the nuances of someone who's living a slightly different life to me, that I'm not necessarily going to know all the ins and outs. And she's picked out some things that just didn't occur to me. So I'm challenged by people like Sandra who are pushing the boundaries of who's in our stories and who deserves to be there. And Sandra and lots of Dragonblade authors are really demonstrating to me everyone deserves to be in our stories.
Absolutely.
There we go. That's my TED talk.
I mean, it is challenging, and it's Carolyn's story was the most difficult, I think, outside of Finn being in the wheelchair. Carolyn's story was the most difficult for me to write because I didn't want to get her wrong. I didn't want to, I don't know, just gloss over Dacia and, potentially alienate a whole bunch of other people. So I put out a survey. I asked for readers and people who do live with this. Can you tell me what your day-to-day life is, what you struggle with, what you hope that people would understand about this? And I put that in Carolyn's life. I mean, when this series with Dragonblade came about, I had already been doing differently abled characters well before this series came up. And, readers appreciate that. They're like, we're finally seeing different stories and characters in Regency romance, and we've not seen that before. And, this is groundbreaking stuff. I mean, especially with the mental health issues in the Storm Brothers series, it's been eye-opening to see how many readers are connecting with that sort of thing. And they're like, I'm so glad you wrote this character because, I feel like you're speaking to me. I feel like that we're being seen out here, all of this stuff. So it's just rewarding all the way around.
Yeah, I think everyone wins.
Exactly. It is just great.
Representation and building empathy for a situation that is not the situation that you live with is huge. Yeah.
And then when I find out that other authors are like, "Hey man, you're doing a really good job out there. You're making me want to up my game." That's pretty cool too.
Thanks, Sandra, making me do more work.
Just breaking ground over here. You pass so you can come along.
Yeah, I think that Emily, everything good at outline, so everybody has something that pushes someone. I think. So Bianca, if you could hear us, can you talk a little bit about something that you find challenging in your writing, something that pushes you a little bit more than normal? And we're having a little bit of technical difficulty, so Bianca's been very patient with us.
So so similar to you, I have tried to add diversity in my books as well. I did have one character in a wheelchair in another series, and I had a sensitivity reader, and I also put out a call to all my readers to ask, what are some things about being in a wheelchair that people might not necessarily think about. And one reader who was in a wheelchair said, no one opens the doors, and that, doors can be so challenging. And particularly in that time period, they didn't have the automatic door opener. So that's in my story, that people will, might just walk past, and it's more of an issue. So certainly that's something that I don't live to on a day-to-day basis, of course. In my former life, I worked in a nursing home for a while, so I'm somewhat familiar in that respect, but I haven't had personal experience.
That makes sense. So Sandra, this is the last full-length book in this series that you're working on now. There's one more Storm Brothers coming out in the winter anthology, but that's it for this.
I had a couple of readers ask me, "Hey, what's going to happen to Mom? After the series concludes?" And
moms deserve happily ever after too.
Yeah. So I debated a really long time. I'm like, do I really want to mess with matching Mom or whatever? And so I decided, you know what? Let's just do it. Let's close the door on the series so that everybody can move forward and do something else. So I decided to match the Storm mother with a Duke. And this was also challenging for me because this is, later in life love, This is also something I have no experience in, because, Mrs., the Dowager is way older than I am. So, I have to do some research on, loving your 60s and stuff like that. So
Do you have a title for that book now?
Sensitivity reader.
the title is Much Ado About a Story. I think it's loosely based on Much Ado About Nothing. So and I was struggling hard because the word count, was capped at 25K. So, I'm like, okay,
you gotta tell your story quick.
All along the whole play here. So we're just going to take a little element from the play and deal with it that way. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's really sad to close the door on the Storm Brothers Saga #1. And they've extended the series when there's no more people left to do it again, So I'm sad, but I'm happy because I get to move on to other series. And I got a new one with Dragonblade releasing next month. So they're launching.
So what's next? What's next for you? What is the setup for the next series?
Next for me is The Willful Winterborns. That's the name of the series with Dragonblade that launches next month. It's siblings. They are like over 40, nearing 40, that have already had those. They've already had kids, and whatever happened down the road, death or whatever, estranged, are going into that part of their life and find love again. So that's what that series is based on. And then I've pitched another series to my editor a few months ago, and I'm still waiting to see if it'll be accepted by Dragonblade or not. I guess I'll just be working on my indie stuff for a while. But yeah.
No, I'm kind of anxious about Silver Fox Heroes in the next series. That's sounds very much fun.
Really
Loving your 40s sounds like very much fun.
Everybody, no matter where you are in your life, you still have insecurities. We all hope that we're going to grow out of that as right. We're just going to be really cool and confident.
And happened yet.
Yeah. So yeah, this is what happened, and everybody's got insecurities. And it's good writing older characters too, because they've got other things going on. You're looking after your elderly parents, or your kids are grown and you're stressed about that because they're doing their own lives and they're making mistakes, and you're stressed because you've already made those mistakes, and things like that. So this is good. I really enjoyed it. I've written 2 books in that series. I'm getting ready to do the 3rd book, so we'll see what happens.
Cool. And Emily, I know you have just a big long list of DePetras to come.
So we have 14 books in that series.
Putting it up on the website, it's like there's a lot of DePetras here.
There's a lot. Honestly, the covers, I've got all 14.
Wow.
Do you really?
I've got all 14. Oh. I've had all 14 for about 2 months, and I've been sitting on them and sitting on them.
How did you look into that?
I book early. So the first DePetras book came out 2 weeks ago. Book 2 is coming out in June, but then that's everything I'm doing for this year and next year. So we wanted to get them all done in one go, so they all work to match. Now, I don't get access to DAR until 2024 now.
Right. So you're not going to have another book in that series come out next year? Have a book in that series come out next year, or just this year?
This year, right? So every 6 weeks from now.
Holy cow! Every 6 weeks
for
until time immemorial. You've got books coming.
The trouble is that everyone who watches these regularly know that I outline to death because
Me
that's
too.
the way I write. And I felt so proud of myself. Before I even wrote book 1, I outlined everything, and I have a very complicated spreadsheet of beats for family, beats for parents, beats for the hero, beat for the heroine, beat to throw back to a previous book, beat to suggest things for next book. And then I got to the end of it, and I was like, there's another character that I haven't included here because it's going to make it complicated, but she will not leave me alone, and she doesn't have a book of her own yet. and I have a horrible feeling she's going to demand a book of her own by the end. But I might make that like a Christmas special.
Right.
Because she's very tangential to the plot, but she's also I have a horrible feeling she's going to become a fan favorite.
Well, that's not horrible though. We love fan favorites. So,
I know, but the trouble is, with 3 generations of family, there's a lot of secondary characters, and I can't do
you're
that.
going to collect a lot of people along the way.
I'm going to get to the point where it's like book 36 of the Depetra series.
Well,
Everyone's going to be
spin-off, with all these extra characters,
Maybe. But the trouble is, I have 11 other series ideas.
Yeah, I get it.
And I'm not going to get to those until 2024 at the earliest. So if I want to do any of them, you've got to say, I mean, you both of you know, all 3 of you know, to do the next exciting thing, you've got to put the current exciting thing down.
I booked out through 2024 myself, so yeah, I get it.
Ignore the shiny balls in favor of the things that are in front of you.
Hard, Evelyn. It is so hard. Because
Bianca,
hey, we're cruising along, everybody's happy. Hey, how about this idea for a new series? And here's a title for all these books and all these characters, and here's the plots, and okay, I gotta go now. And then she just dumps all that stuff in your lap, and you're like, okay, what am I supposed to do with this? I guess that's job security.
you need friends who'll listen to you and go, yes, that's a lovely idea. Yes, I can see why you like that. Now get back to the thing that you're supposed to be looking for.
I'm like, oh my gosh, you're never going to realize what I just thought of the other night. And he's like, uh-huh. I'm like, yeah, it's this new series and all these new characters. And he's like, uh-huh. Because, he's probably trying to play Halo or something like that. And I come at him with all these ideas. And he's like, uh-huh.
So this is why I like getting all my covers for my series in one go. Because for example, book 1 is out, book 2 is on pre-order, book 3 is with my editor, and I'm editing.
No, it's the whole thing. It's a whole process.
But if I get bored of book 4, I can then go and look at all the shiny covers I've got left to be like, soon
you have shiny balls that are actually relevant to what you're working on.
I've got an indie series coming out, next year, and all the covers are done with that one. So yeah, I exactly know.
Bianca, do you collect covers?
I do. I'm
or do you have covers in advance and then you just stare at them?
Oh yeah, I do it. I'm guilty. I need a 12-step program or something. I don't know. It's
I'm a
terrible.
cover hoarder. I have a series from way back when with like 8 covers that I just look at sometimes. I'm like, one day I'll come back for you.
Well, I mean, that's the thing, and especially if they're not already, given the titles and fonts or whatever, I get the freedom to shuffle them around through my indie series. So if it's not going to work for one series, I can just move it around, But yeah, I collect.
This is why I love Dragonblade. Their series are probably the prettiest ones that I see. They're just so pretty. Like I get readers emailing me being like, do you do posters? Do you do like postcards? Like where can I? They're just gorgeous, and I'm not a visual. Like I can appreciate visual, but
they are gorgeous. And I just bought a retractable banner, because I've got a con up next month that I'm taking all my Dragonblade stuff at. So I've got them on this big retractable banner, and they're still gorgeous, even really big.
So Bianca, what's next for you? Oh, now we can't hear you. There.
I'm in an anthology, Get Your Duke On, which I'm super excited about. And I based a prequel novella to the Determined Debutante series to the song Summer in the City. And it's actually an Aladdin retelling. And I think Aladdin is like my favorite Disney movie, especially the 2019 version, the live action version. I thought it was so great. So there is, it's been really fun to write that story. So I'm excited for it to come out in July.
Yeah, that sounds like so much fun. And that anthology looks fantastic. I was working on the advertising for that one yesterday, and talking to some of the authors in the group, and it is just, the cover for that one is gorgeous. The list of authors included in it is exceptional, and it like all the other Dragonblade books is on sale, the pre-order period, for 99 cents. So it's like 14 stories for it. It's just
a steal.
Just such a like you could get all the books today, all the books from the authors we've talked about today, and that anthology for less than what the kid passed me for that matcha latte that we brought. But it's such a good deal, and the setup looks so fun because everybody picked a song, a summer song to go with it. So, ladies, this has just been a blast. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us this week. I really appreciate it. And I appreciate, it seems like we always have some kind of technical challenge. And I appreciate everybody's willingness to just roll with it and figure out a solution. I know it's not always easy, and I appreciate your flexibility with that too. I'll make sure that I pop the links for all the books, including Mary Lancaster's book, because she wasn't able to join us, in the comments for the chat. So if you haven't gotten them yet, you want to make sure you grab them. Dragonblade books are the best deal on pre-order and their release. So you want to snag them when you can. And we'll look forward to talking to everybody next week, same time, same place. Okay. Thanks so much, ladies.
Thank you.
Bye.